Hey guys, this is Drew with Studio 28. Thank you so much for stopping by for another video. Listen, I've got a cool theory here. So in the audio engineering world, producers often have several different speakers that they listen to, like I said, like the Yamaha NS10s, or they might have the Ortone Cubes. But what happens if you don't have either of those speakers to listen to along with your primary set of speakers that you normally use? Well, I've got a Bluetooth speaker here that works. You can also use your AirPods. But listen, I also have a couple of other options that I've actually created to kind of emulate some of that stuff. Let's hop into Logic and start the video that you came here for. Okay, so I've got a session pulled up here in Logic. This is the title track to my upcoming EP, Family Man. So that is the song that we're going to be using for this video demonstration. But I want to talk specifically about this theory that I have, that if you can get your music sounding the absolute best that it can just in that mid-range, then your music is going to translate like 10,000% better on multiple different listening devices, be it earbuds, just off your cell phone, computer speaker, laptops, in your car, if you're going through the grocery store and hearing the music playing like in the grocery store speakers, up to, like upper end PAs. So what I've done is, at least to the best of my ear, I've actually created an EQ setting specifically emulating like the Ortone Cubes. Now, this is not necessarily pleasing to listen to by any means. You can take a listen. So it's definitely not something that you would hope to listen to music in all the time. But the theory is that where not all the listening devices that you would use has a full range frequency spectrum, like, a nice PA system, but what they do all have in common is this nice mid-range right here. So when I throw this plug-in on, what I aim to do is only make like EQ moves in this window. So let's take a look at this first parameter that I set here. I've got a low cut filter or a high pass filter set to 290 hertz at a 18 decibel per octave slope. And then over here on the right, I've got a low pass filter or a high cut filter set at 5K at an 18 decibel per octave slope. So now I definitely don't just listen to music with this plugin on, because like I said, it's just not pleasant. But if I throw this on, then it narrows my listening window just from 290 to 5K. And if I hear something in these range of frequencies, then I'm only limiting myself to doing EQ moves just in this window of frequencies here. So like if I solo the acoustic here, let's just take a listen. All right, so that acoustic can definitely sound a lot better. So let me pull this EQ up. This one is for the acoustic, and I'm just going to leave this on, but let's see if we can't get this to sound better. So there's definitely some kind of like boxy or, like honky sounding element to this acoustic, which is going to be from like the 400 to 600 hertz. So let's see if we can't get this to clean up a bit. All right, so I feel like that's already sounding better. Now I'm going to turn the cube off, and let's take a listen to what that sounds like before and after normally. So this is no EQ on that acoustic. And with. Yeah, it just makes it feel a lot better. And so then you can come in with this, and set your high pass filter there. And you can just listen to that low end just clean up real nice. So, and I would obviously do this more than just the acoustic guitars, but you can see that if you just limit it to these range of frequencies, you can get a lot of stuff to clean up. So now let's listen to that chorus section with this off with the new guitar EQ. Nice. Okay. So the second thing is also from FabFilter. I've got their multiband compressor here. Now I've created 4 different zones, if you will, and these all sound very different. This is only limiting our range. It works very similarly to how this EQ works, but I've got 4 different zones here that we're going to listen to. This first one is going to be what I like to call like outside the club. It's just if you're standing outside and you hear like music playing inside, you're going to hear a lot of like low end, like the kick and the bass, and it's just kind of got that feel to it. And then I've got that set to 100 hertz and below. So that's the only thing that you're going to be listening to is 100 hertz and below. This next section here is I've got it set from 180 hertz to 400 hertz. And this is what I like to call the blanket over the speaker. And then the third frequency here, I've got it set from 500 all the way to 4K. So this is going to be a zone that is very similar to this Auratone emulation that I have. Slightly different, but same kind of effect, if you will. And then the last one that I've got is from 5K on up to 10K. And that zone is kind of what I like to call the ghost zone. This one here, I like to call this New York City, and then this one, the ghost zone. So if we take our first zone here, the outside the club zone, as I listen to this, there's 2 questions that I like to ask myself. The first one is, does the low end feel intentional or does it feel kind of chaotic? It's one of those things where you can definitely miss, like if you're listening to it just off your cell phone or like a laptop speaker, walking through the mall and hearing a song that you've mixed, that's definitely something that you can miss. But if you really hone in on this and just solo this range of frequencies, you can definitely hear if it sounds intentional or chaotic. And the second question is, who is the anchor in the mix? Who, meaning like an instrument. So is it a kick drum? Is it a bass? And then you can definitely tell like if they're matched as far as volume, like if they're balanced well. But then also from an EQ standpoint, you can often hear like if like they're kind of competing for similar frequencies. So you can go in and make cuts or boosts to kind of bring out certain elements of either one, while also keeping, a balanced mix of the two. The second zone here, the blanket over the speaker, as I like to call it. The two questions that I like to ask myself here is the mix feeling congested, or does it feel like it's breathing? This is, you definitely get, still some of that low end, but then you're also starting to get, some of more of those mid frequencies. So you can hear a little bit more of what's going on than your first zone there. And the second question is the warmth supporting clarity, or is it choking it out? And that's something that is very key. This is a, kind of a crucial frequency range, if you will, just simply because when you're, making EQ moves and stuff like that, this is going to be like where some of the body and warmth is among all of your instruments. So, if you just take an acoustic guitar and, you make a boost here, it sounds quite nice. But if you do that, make those same EQ boosts among all of your instruments kind of in this range, then it's, kind of taking out some clarity. You could be losing some vocals, but also like some of the presence and clarity of other instruments. So really watch out in this frequency range. This third one here, the New York City, as I like to call this one, the two questions that I ask myself. One is, are the vocals intelligible? That sounds like a big, like obviously, but you would be surprised at how many times I've gone in to make a mix and, have caught myself like, man, I'm just lacking something here. Like I'm losing the vocal. And so then I'll throw this on. I'm like, oh, okay, well, here's why. And then the second question is, does the groove survive in the mid range? That is a big one. I would argue in most cases that the second most important thing of a song is the groove, next to the vocal being the first, obviously. And then this range right here, this is going to be like your upper end, the ghost zone, if you will. The two questions that I ask myself, one is the mix too fatiguing on the ears? Like if I just solo this and listen to the song just in this frequency band for like 10 seconds, is my ear feel like it's being pierced, or is it, pleasant to listen to for the most part? And the second question that I ask myself is the presence intentional or accidental? And I'll often find that sometimes, I might have too much guitar fizz, and too much like cymbal crack, where it's, you might need to bring that down, notch that down a bit. So when audio engineers or mix engineers, they listen on multiple different speakers, it's one of those things where, it's not just because like, oh, they want it to sound really good. They've got different speakers for specific purposes. And like me, I've just got the KRK Rockets, the Rocket 5. That's the only kind of speakers that I have other than my Bluetooth one. So this is kind of a way to, I don't know, emulate the multiple speakers like producers have. So let's take a listen to the mix real quick, and I'll show you what all of these do. Yeah, so that's kind of what they do. Real quick, something that I'm hearing in this first zone here is the bass and the kick drum are kind of competing with each other there. It seems like. So let's go to our drum kit and let's open up our the channel EQ for our the kick in and the kick out. And then I'm also going to pull up the EQ for the bass as well. And let's just see what we've got going on here. Okay, so this one's got a boost. I'm sorry. This one has a cut at 123 hertz, and this one's got a boost at 97. So they're definitely not competing with each other for similar frequencies. So what I think I may do is bring this boost down a little bit, because I feel like I'm just missing some of that kick drum. And then this one has a very subtle boost at 100 hertz. I may bring this up, here a little bit, kind of narrow this, where this one's got that boost at 123, or a cut at 123. I might bring that somewhere up there, bring it up some. Let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, that already sounds a lot better. So let's turn off our that multiband plugin and see what that sounds like now. Yeah, that's already a lot better. And that's not something that I heard had we not have done this tutorial. So, this is very useful. I assure you that. And then something else that I was noticing here in this third one, the New York City feel, is I was kind of getting a little too much guitar. And I don't remember if that was electric or the pedal steel. So let's take a listen and find out. Okay, so that pedal steel does have, some qualities there. Now remember, this is only from 500 to 4K, so we're gonna, just make a subtle, a wide Q move here. You don't want to take too much out because you still want to have that characteristic of the steel guitar. But let's just take a little cut here. And then if we turn that off, we'll get more of that pedal steel back. Yeah, and so now that it doesn't feel like they're competing as much. So that is very nice. And then, always, something else is volume faders do a lot as well. So I cut a little bit here on that electric, and then I also brought the volume down a bit. So let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, so that sounds a lot better. And then we'll turn it off and listen to it, normally, if you will. Yes, that sounds a lot better. So those are kind of the two secret tricks, if you will. Not really secret or tricks, but just kind of some techniques that I use as I'm mixing, just to kind of, I don't know, reset the ear palette, if you will. Give me a few different ways to listen to, more concentrated frequencies. And, obviously you can see that as I mixed this song without doing this, there was a couple of things that I missed. And then after listening to it in those concentrated areas and making just a few subtle tweaks here and there, the mix already sounds a lot better. Well, guys, I hope this was helpful. This is one of my more favorite techniques to use as I'm mixing, so I hope that it helps you in some of your mixes in the future. Let me know in the comments who's watched up to this point. Type the word mix, just so I can see who's watching. Also, did you know that 63% of the people that are watching this video are not subscribed? So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell so you never miss a video. And then one last thing before you head out is hop on over to the merch store, get you something cool off of there. I've got the link in the description below, and it really does go a long way to help out the studio. So that's all I got for you this week. Keep making beautiful music. I love you, and we'll see you in the next one.